Hey guys, it's Miss Roach here. I hope that my YouTube videos are working out well for you. I am here in my Explorer project. I have my pre-drawn car and I have my racetrack. You should at this point have your boat and have your route map. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's goal is to use the coordinate grid to get our car, your boat, to move. So I'm going to go full screen here for a second and I'm going to show you a couple of things. Next to the full screen button there's actually a coordinate grid. I know Mr. Ledbetter talked to you today about that 0, 0 is in the middle of the grid, and then I can move along this x coordinate either in the positive direction or the negative direction, and I can move along the y coordinate in the positive or in the negative direction. Maybe you've noticed this before, but every single place on a Tinker screen has an address. That address is a combination of coordinates, an x coordinate and a y coordinate. I want you to look for a second down here in this space. I'm going to move my cursor around the screen, and when I do, you're going to see coordinates pop up in that space down below. So for example, if my mouse is here at the top in this area, the x coordinate is 360, the y is 184. If I move to this quadrant over here, you'll notice I have a negative x coordinate, negative 353, positive 262. That negative number comes from moving in the negative direction on the x-coordinate and then moving up. Anything down in this quadrant below is going to have a negative x and a negative y, because to get to that spot right here, I had to go negative on the x-coordinate and then negative on the y-coordinate. This spot, though, will give you all the addresses. The negative symbol is very important when using coordinates because it makes a difference of which quadrant your actual boat, in this case car, will show up in. It's like if I ordered a pizza and I left off a digit of my address. They are going to end up on my road probably, but not at the right house. So those negative numbers are really important. Using what you know from Mr. Ledbetter's lesson about the coordinate plane and what you already know about Tinker, let's get this car to drive on my racetrack. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go back down to small screen. The very first thing you want to be sure to check is make sure you are not coding on your stage. You want to actually code your boat today. Okay, if I try to code the stage and tell it to move to a specific coordinate, it's not going to work because your stage isn't going to move. Your car, though, your boat can move. So what I'm going to do is make sure I'm on my car or my boat. I'm going to click the codes to make it say on start. I'm going to come over here to motion and I'm going to tell it on start to go to, notice how I'm putting my cursor over where I want it. The coordinate is negative 273 and then the y is 100. I want to write that coordinate down, so I'm actually taking a second on a piece of paper. You can't see me, but I'm writing down negative 273, 100, because what happens is when I move my cursor, that number goes away. So here I have written down, I'm going to write my negative 273 and my 100. The negative symbol can be found next to the 0 on your Chromebook. So I'm going to tell it to start there. Then I want it to glide to this spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break apart my racetrack into chunks. You're going to notice that you're going to probably break your route map into chunks too. So my first chunk, let's say I want my car to travel like to this area. The coordinate there is 42 is the x-coordinate and negative 20 is the y. You got there by going a positive direction on the x-coordinate and a negative y direction. So I'm going to tell my car to glide 1 second, 2. I wrote those numbers down. They're really important to keep track of. 42 and then negative 20. When I press play, it's going to take my car to that spot. The next chunk of my map that I want it to cover is probably to about right here. So where I am, I'm going to drive my car to, and I'm taking my pencil out again, the x-coordinate is 370, the y-coordinate is negative 14. So I am going to glide to x 370, y negative 14, and I'm going to test it. It's really important to test every step of the way to make sure that your boat or my car is doing what you want it to do. The next step, let's say I want it to drive down in this direction. The coordinate there is 191, negative 180. So I'm going to tell it to glide to X coordinate 191, Y coordinate negative 180. Testing again just to kind of get a heads up. Now you're going to notice when I'm doing this, my car isn't turning at all. That's okay for right now. We're going to add some things here in a little bit that's going to help that, but for right now that's okay. I'm moving my mouse cursor to the next portion on my racetrack. My coordinate there is 409. The X coordinate is negative 277. So I'm going to write that down on my paper. I'm going to come over here and find a glide coordinate, and I am going to type 409 for the X coordinate, and I am going to type negative 277 for the Y coordinate. As I keep testing, mine keeps going in the right spot. What you're going to notice though is if you accidentally forget a coordinate digit, or if you forget that negative symbol, your boat might end up in the wrong spot. What you would do there to problem solve is check your coordinates, and with your mouse cursor make sure your boat is headed where you want it to. I'm moving my cursor now to the top of this road. It is 539, coordinate 19. Remember, this area down here shows my coordinates, so that's what I'm going to type for my next glide code. My next glide code then will be X equals 539, Y equals 19.